Welcome back, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 10+1 sales system, the proven process that we use to consistently sell premium painting projects at a 50% closing ratio. It's about having a clear, repeatable process that creates confidence both for you and clients. So I'm going to start by sharing with you why a standardized sales system matters. So if you don't have a defined sales process, you're leaving results to chance, and your closing ratio is likely not going to be what it could be. The best companies, they all have this structured approach that every estimator and salesperson can follow. So a standardized process creates consistency, which builds your brand and makes your results predictable. It's also scalable. You can train new team members to sell the same way that you do. It's measurable. You can pinpoint which steps in the sales process need improvement if your close rates are off. And then most importantly, it makes it easier for customers to buy from you because the entire experience feels professional and intentional. That is what the 10+1 sales system is designed to do. Let's go through each of the steps. Step 1 is the setup call. The setup call is basically the gatekeeper to unqualified estimates. It's done before you show up on site, and it has 4 main purposes. One is to qualify the leads so that you only spend time with the right clients. Another reason or purpose is to set up winning estimates by preparing the client to make a decision while you're with them. Another reason is that it separates yourself from competition, since so many painters just skip this step altogether, right? It's part of rapport building and expectation setting. And then it also gives you the opportunity to put the homeowner in a buying state of mind. In the setup call, if you want to confirm that they're actually painting this year, you want to be able to find that out before you show up so you're not wasting your time, right? This is also an opportunity to determine the logistics, the scope, set expectations on how the estimate process will look. You'll also have an opportunity to confirm that all the decision makings will be there so that you can add some value to all the people making a decision, right? That can be a challenge if someone isn't there for all the presentation sides and then you just show up as the most expensive person. Step 2 is your arrival and your introduction. So before you arrive, I like to send a pre-estimate email, and sometimes I also like to actually include a video in my email or a link to a video where I can actually explain the whole process and set clear expectations for the estimates. These touch points, they begin to build trust before any face-to-face interaction has happened. When arriving at the client's home, the first in-person impression really matters. So arrive in a clear uniform, ideally a wrapped vehicle, on time and with a clear professional demeanor. If you have any personal distractions or stress, do what I call a sidewalk check. So before walking up, set aside personal distractions, focus fully on the client and their project for the duration of the appointment, right? If you have other stuff going on in life, just sidewalk check it and focus and be present with your customer. Step 3 is building rapport. So now it's time to go in, and before you dive into the numbers or project details, take a minute to just connect at like a human level. Connect with them. Homeowners need to like and trust you before they'll hire you. Be genuine, ask thoughtful questions, and show interest in them, not just the project. Simple conversation starters like, how's your day going? How long have you lived here? How did you hear about us? These all work well. Don't just jump right to business. Comment on their home. I do that often. Ask about their pets or their hobbies if you notice something. And look for natural points of connection, right? Human to human connection. Step 4 is when we start to get into like a little bit of them, understanding their needs. Once rapport is built, shift into uncovering the client's true needs. This step shows that you share a common sense of purpose with them. Ask open-ended questions to learn what matters most. What would a 10 out of 10 project look like for you? You can just say that. Have you ever worked with painting companies before? What was your experience like? That's a good question. What's important to you when you choose a contractor? That's a good question. Listen 80% of the time and speak only 20% of the time at this stage. Repeat back what you hear to confirm. What I'm hearing is that staying on schedule and keeping your garden tidy are the most important. Is that correct? Tie your responses to their specific needs by explaining features and benefits of your service. If they care about cleanliness, highlight daily cleanup and how your team protects their property. If scheduling matters, explain how your estimating and scheduling process ensures a firm completion date. Your job is to paint the picture of what working with you looks like, framed entirely around what the client values the most, right? Step 5 is the first walk around. So once you've understood the client's basic needs, it's time to walk the property with them. This step is where you physically go around the house, touch the surfaces, and show your expertise as a trusted advisor. During that walk around, you confirm what is and what isn't included in the project. You identify problem areas, you provide product recommendations, and you continue developing their needs. This step is also about educating the client on what's required to do the job properly. As you explain the work involved, you're building confidence and showing the value behind your price. Step 6 is the trial close. The trial close comes right before you run the numbers and write the estimate. The goal is to validate what they've told you, paint the picture of the project in their language, and ask for the job subject to their biggest objection. A simple version might sound like this. I have everything you need to put this estimate together now. It's going to take me about 30 minutes to do that, and then we can go through it together. If everything we've discussed looks good and the price is within your expectations, would you like to get scheduled with me today? So this step really helps surface objections early. It giving you time to think about how you're going to handle them. So if they give you an objection at that trial close stage, you have the whole estimate to really come back with a proper way to deal with the objection while you prepare the estimate. Using tools like a well-prepared client guide during this step also adds credibility and builds trust. So if you have a client guide, you can give it to them to review while you're actually running the numbers. And they can flip through the guide, and it kind of acts as a silent salesperson, reinforcing your expertise and value. Step 7 is estimating. So now estimating is one piece of the sales process. Step 7 is where you're going to calculate the price. After the trial close, you take 20-30 minutes to walk the property independently and calculate your estimate. Use your estimate guide, your pricing sheet to ensure every detail is captured. Double check your math, confirm your hours, verify your labor, material margins so the job stays profitable. If you have a software, you're going to input everything, double check your numbers, make sure it looks right. And of course, for a full breakdown of how to calculate the estimates, refer back to video 2 in the series, which covers the basics of estimating in the estimating process. Once we've done that is step 8, proposal write-up. So once you've calculated all the pricing categories, washing, prep, siding, trim, windows, doors, safety, setup, cleanup, it's time to go back to your vehicle and document everything into a professional proposal. If you have a software, you're going to have that spit out as well. Your proposal should clearly outline the final price, the scope of work, how you'll address the client's unique needs, right? You want to have that mentioned somewhere in the quote. Ideally, use your CRM or quoting software to build and store the proposal. That's what is done today, so it's easy to follow up with later and ensure smooth handoffs to production. As you finalize the proposal, review everything in detail to confirm the client's priorities are reflected properly. Don't do stock estimates. Make sure it's properly reflecting their needs. Impossible include multiple options. That's always a really good tactic, or levels of service to give a client choices, basically. Whether or not the client is ready to buy, always leave them with a clear professional proposal on the spot. Don't just go home and then send the estimate. You're losing a big piece of your selling. Step 9, this is where we actually present the estimate and ask for the job on the spot during the estimate, right? By the time you present the estimate, most of your selling would have already been done in the previous steps, right? You're not still selling at this point. You should have already done that before you went to do your walk around and calculate the price, right? So all that salesmanship is going to be taking place in the rapport, understanding needs, and the original walk around with the customer. So by this point, you should have positioned yourself as the trusted choice. The presentation is about confirming expectations and showing the client exactly what working with you is going to look like. Paint that picture. So then you can sit down with all the decision makers. Do this at a kitchen table is what you want to be going for. Avoid the casual presenting at the door. Lead them to that, ideally the kitchen table or a comfortable spot. Lay the proposal or your computer or iPad facing them with confidence and walk them through the price and the scope line item by line item. Outline the process step by step. From washing, prep, paint application, cleanup, final inspection, paint the whole picture as if you already have the job. This is how we're going to do this, and this is how we're going to do this, and once we get started on that, this is what we're going to do, and just paint that picture. Highlight features and benefits directly tied to their needs using their language from their early conversations that they already had with you. When you finish presenting, you ask clearly and confidently for the commitment. For example, I always just say, I'd love to do this project for you. Can I get you scheduled in at blank in the date that they've already told me was the date they were targeting? Avoid weak closes like, what do you think? Or, and then, yeah, if you're ready, move directly into scheduling and taking the deposit, right? So you want to collect a deposit right there on the spot. That's the goal we're going for. If they raise objections, note them and transition into objection handling, which is the next step. Never default to just emailing the quote and waiting. Your close rate will be far higher if you present in person. Answer questions on the spot and then confidently ask for the job. If you can, you'll deal with an objection, then you'll ask for the job again, right? Step 10 is if you didn't land it on the spot. That's overcoming objections. If the client is ready, book the job, but sometimes you're going to get these objections, and that's part of the sales process. An objection is simply a need that hasn't been met. When this happens, pause, ask a few key questions to reassess. Are you for sure painting this year? That is the number one question I always ask. Is this something you're doing this year for sure? Probably the most missed thing people do is not confirming that people are actually painting this year, and they're just wasting their time doing quotes. Another question, does this quote cover everything that you need and want? That's a question, right? We have that in our actual sales process binder. These are the questions specifically that we ask. Another question, are you comfortable with me and the company? Do you feel good about us? And then the last one, is this price what you were expecting, right? If it's not, they're just going to tell you. They're going to be like, no, it's how much higher than I expected. And yeah, we haven't built the value to match that price. Common objections include, we're getting other estimates, or we need to look at our budget, or I need to think about it. So you need to listen carefully, acknowledge what they've said, and ask clarifying questions. Once you've addressed their concerns, ask for the job again. Step 11 is following up, right? So if you didn't book the job on the spot and you've now dealt with, you have to follow up, right? Like that's a step that also gets missed quite a lot, is having a strong follow-up process. If the job isn't booked on the spot, set a specific date and time for a follow-up call before leaving the estimate. Write it on the contract or in the email with the quote, and confirm it by text. I even like to send them an invite on my Google Calendar saying I'm going to follow up at 12 o'clock at this date, right? The goal is to follow-up is to revisit the objection that prevented them from booking and move them towards a decision. So during the follow-up call, be direct and professional. A simple script might be, hey, Joe, this is Brad from Colorcraft Painting. I just wanted to check in and see if you guys have had the chance to address objection and if you're ready to move forward with the project. There are 3 possible outcomes that they're going to have, right? They're either ready to book and you secure the deposit over the phone and finalize the schedule. They're still undecided. Confirm the objection again and schedule the next follow-up call, which is again a formal follow-up. Or they chose another contract, and then you want to ask for feedback on that decision. So you always want to ask why they went with somebody else. These are your 3 scenarios at this point, right? So it's always going to be one of those. So use multiple communication channels throughout this entire process: calls, texts, emails. Keep following up until you get a firm yes or a firm no. Don't wipe them off your follow-up call until then. Professional follow-up demonstrates commitment and it builds trust. A lot of sales are done on the follow-up. These steps together make up the 10+1 sales system. Each of these steps naturally builds character, competence, and common sense of purpose. The trust triangle we discussed in the last video. And you can go, I have full trainings on the details of each one of these steps. This is an overview video. But when you follow this process consistently, achieving a 50% close rate becomes realistic and repeatable. This video is the overview of the full system. If you want additional support in our ongoing coaching program, we break down each of them, like I just mentioned, into the details, and we give you the personalized guidance on implementing them into your business and tailoring it to your specific situation. So in the next video, we're going to look at reporting, planning, so that you can track your numbers and see where you need to improve in the sales process. Super valuable for ongoing coaching. And that's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.